Well, welcome to another edition of Top of the Tower Studios, Columbia Tower Club Happy Half Hour, where we elevate the voices of our club members and give you an opportunity to meet some of our club members and get to know them a little better. Just to understand, what their passions are, what they enjoy about the club. Get to know one another a little better and meet some of our board members. We've got one of our board members here today. And so I am going to kick it off. And Senji, when did you join the club?
Yeah, I joined about 3 years ago. It was actually the summer of 2022. So it's about to get to 3 years, and I think in that case we've been active ever since.
That's right on. And okay, so now you ran a committee. Is that correct? You guys together?
Both of us did.
Yeah. Which committee was that, guys?
That was the Young Professionals Network Committee.
And you're still running it? Who's running it?
Co-chairs, yeah.
Co-chairs for it.
Yeah.
But you have subsequently joined the Board of Governors?
Correct.
This year.
Earlier in January.
January, yes. Yeah. Under Jesse's watch.
Under Jesse's watch.
Well, I mean, I love Jesse. Jesse's awesome. What are you enjoying about that?
I mean, I think just to be able to have a impact on what the club wants to put out there in the future, I think is a great way to start. Also, to be meeting the other board members, I think has been pretty valuable. To be honest, I think the value that I want to still get is by more consistency around that, around some of the impact that we still want to showcase. So I think it's not there yet of the value I still look to seek. But to be honest, I think the board itself is something that I'm still new to. So I can't say too much till I've maybe been there for a year and got to know everyone for a year. I think everyone's so busy that we don't get enough time together, right? So I've learned that, everyone that's on the board is doing something really cool, though, and has done something really cool. So I think that's a really cool component in why I'm lucky enough to just sit there with everyone.
That's awesome. Zaylin, you're engaged in running the Young Professionals Network. What are you most passionate about there?
Just bringing Seattle together. I mean, Seattle's famous for the Seattle Freeze, where people move into the city, and the issue is related to connecting with other people. So you might move in here, join a tech company or something, or there's some reason that you're moving to Seattle in such an international city. So it draws a lot of brilliant minds here, but there's something difficult that people find around the social cohesion component of it. So being able to create an environment where you can break that down. I mean, we did an event earlier this year that was literally called Unfreeze Seattle. So that was a great example of trying to work through some of the social connection pieces that people struggle with. And this is the best real estate to be able to do that in. And so it's an easy sell to get people to come here and mingle with one another. So that's the main thing, right, is just providing that space and then also helping to bring the right people into play. Because I really think there's it's like a chemical reaction when you see the right minds come together, and the result of it is the conversation that takes place. So I've done that many, many times throughout my life, like brought a poet together with a technology leader or something, and people that probably would never have crossed paths, but you're able to design a conversation and collapse two worlds together that never would have met otherwise, and there's amazing things that come from that. So being able to create those spaces and make those introductions, and then have the space to create amazing events has been a lot of fun. Learned a lot through that process and met a lot of people through these event hostings, and we have more events coming up in the future, but that's like the main reason. It's a vehicle for connection in Seattle.
That's awesome. Now, forgive me for not knowing this already. Did either of you move to Seattle, or are either of you born and raised in Seattle?
I'm from like an hour south of here, so Sumner.
Oh, so close, yeah. So you're in the Puget Sound, and
yeah.
I grew up in Vancouver, Washington. So
okay, so you're still in Washington.
Yeah.
Okay. But so did either of you experience the Seattle Freeze yourselves?
I will say when I first moved here, yes. So I think I was lucky enough to Zaylin's point and start hosting events, like small events at my apartment when I first moved here, little parties and stuff. So in that case, just building community from a very small scale. And then in that case, also realizing the power of that I'm bringing two different worlds together, maybe a friend from this side of my life and then a friend from this side of my life, and then the cohesion and whatever they ended up doing together after. I realized that some of my friends were actually better friends off without me, which is great because I was just there to make the introduction. Zaylen's idea then after that was we came up. Can you repeat our mission statement if you remember it?
Yeah, host amazing events and to catalyze extraordinary connections, something along those lines.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, curating connection.
Yeah. And to the point of what Zaylen was saying, like when you have someone on the other side of, let's say, like in art or in poems or in whatever aspect of their life that they're in, and then you have like a tech leader, what innovation that we're able to inspire by getting them together, I think has been something that we've done on a very small scale, and now we continue to do on a large scale, which we're very excited about on continuing to do.
That's awesome. Really bringing the right brain and the left brain together.
If you want to say it like that.
Well, I mean, like tech, math, right?
Yeah.
The hard sciences and the soft sciences. It's like bringing both sides of the brain together is awesome.
Yeah.
And it is amazing what can happen when both sides of the brain come together.
A lot of innovation. I've noticed that, again, to the same point, like my friends that I've introduced are better friends with each other now, which just makes me super happy. And we want to keep applying that same concept with maybe someone from a different part of the world that wants to meet someone else from a different part of the world, but they're here in Seattle together and they don't have a spot to ideally do that, but they come to a YPN event, they can.
That's amazing. What's been your favorite YPN event so far?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Oh, I only have hard ones from now on.
Let's see. Probably just one of the mixers we've been doing more recently. I like the smaller gatherings. It's easier to talk to everybody. And they're very informal. There's no production value behind it. There's no big scene or show or anything difficult about it. No speaking. Those are nice, just organic meetings. You never know who's going to show up. So trying to do those more regularly to build community when people know they have something to look forward to on the calendar. It's a better way to build relationships. You have to build it in over time. So I think those have been good, kind of seeing the same faces that show up on a more regular basis now. It's just once a month, so it's not much of a time commitment as far as organizing it. We just have to run a page for it, allow people to sign up. So those have been really nice. Some of the other events are a little bit more production effort, which is great too, and bigger turnouts usually. But I guess I'm a big fan of just conversations. So the smaller, the better in some ways. Those ones I feel like I'm in the event, whereas the other things I'm out of the event. Mentally, I'm not there. I'm observing, organizing, right? Like I'm not there to communicate in a normal setting, I guess, because there's so many moving pieces with some of the bigger events. So it's nice to just hang out, just be one with everybody there.
I totally get that. I have chaired and vice chaired some very large events. I vice chaired for the Entrepreneurs Organization. I vice chaired the Istanbul University, and we had like a seated dinner. This was one of the social events. We had a seated dinner for like 800 people on the main street of the Grand Bazaar.
Wow.
And, I was the only member of the 800 who was actually there to witness the 4 clown cars of rolling tables coming out when they closed the main street of the Grand Bazaar, just set up for the mile-long dinner. And so, to your point, like all of a sudden, I'm not a participant who's enjoying that event. I'm simply a witness to it happening, and it was a very different experience.
For sure.
Very different experience.
Does it go by quicker when you're organizing, or does it go by quicker when you're a part of it?
If it all goes well, I think it goes by faster if you're organizing it. If it all goes well. And there's a certain sense of astonishment that, oh my God, that actually did happen and come together well, right? Right? Like, oh, I didn't expect it. I was afraid the ice carving was going to collapse when there's things that go well, and it's like, I am astonished that actually came together. Conversely, when it goes poorly, time seems to stand still, and it's like, oh, this can't come to an end fast enough. Yeah, that's when things get off the rails. It's just not fun. But okay, so So how big? And actually, I've got a couple of questions. One, I am no longer a young professional. I will acknowledge this. I'm in my mid-50s. Would I be welcomed at a YPN event?
Yeah, definitely. There's roles, younger people need mentorship and connection with people that have already been there and done that. So it's always helpful. Yeah.
That's awesome.
We look forward to get like all ranges, but mostly focused on people who are younger to help them. But we do need just a young energy. So regardless of age, that is something I look for in characters, just energy, peace, and you obviously fit into
you do
that.
recognize I'm still a juvenile delinquent, so I think we're good on that one. Yeah, I mean, I got that going for me.
Whatever you were wearing, whenever you were telling me that story of the car going down that hill, right? That in Barcelona, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
so
my gosh, that
fits
was so
into
much
the
fun.
Young energy lifestyle that I was kind of figuring out how to add you into it. So that fits.
Yeah. So just for context, I was just recently at a wedding in Barcelona, and I took a day to myself and rented one of the new BMWs that has both the battery and the gas technology. So it's a little like the Indy cars, I guess. And the really cool thing was it was going over the Pyrenees from Andorra to France and then back into Spain, where they have literally the keyhole turns that if you've ever watched the Tour de France and they're coming down on the bikes and it's like, oh my God, they're going to die. I was driving that. And the cool thing is, like, you go from 30 kilometers an hour to like 18 miles an hour to like 130 kilometers an hour, which is a little more than 18 miles an hour. And then right back down to 30 kilometers an hour because you're into another keyhole turn. It was so much fun. Oh, it was so much fun. You're right. I'm a little, anyway. But enough about all that.
Nice.
What has been the big adventure that you guys are here in Seattle? It's a beautiful view. It's a beautiful evening. Lake Washington is in the background. These are the days we live for, right? In Seattle, in the Puget Sound, in Western Washington. You guys are both from Western Washington. What is it that most draws you to stay here in Western Washington?
For me, it's the landscape here. It's just incredible. I feel very connected to the world that is, to some people, it's a skyline view, kind of like a painting. And then I always encourage people, if you're in Washington, like, you got to go and make that painting that's on the wall something that you're experiencing in 3 dimensions. So moving into the mountains, right, is the big thing that keeps me here. Like, we can look out at the Olympics all day long, and I think a lot of people looking at Tahoma or Kolshan up north, which is the snowiest place on planet Earth, which is unbelievable, right? Like, and then looking out into the Olympics, we have a disconnect with it as if it is just something out beyond, but it influences every part of our day-to-day life, from looking at it to it influencing the weather patterns that we experience on a day-to-day basis, to just the fact that the Duwamish River is pouring out right here into Elliott Bay, which means we're directly connected to Tahoma or Mount Rainier, right? There's a lot of things that I think when you start to identify back with place a little bit more and realize the connection we all have to the landscape, it starts to have a lot of meaning. And so I've lived in other places that are flat, and I don't feel that same there's like a certain spirit here that I think is inspired by the natural environment that we live in. So summertime in Washington is amazing, and a weekend warrior. I'm a very busy person with work during the week days. I usually need to work at least 6 days a week. So my climbing partner and I have been really big into these one-day pushes. So we'll go and find a mountain, and like this weekend we're going to do Adams, and he's getting off a gig at like 8 p.m. in Seattle, and then we'll just mob straight down there, start when we start, and just do a one-day ascent. And so that's been super fun, just going out and like every weekend trying to find a different place to go explore and climb. And there's literally endless here. And once you get to know it and you understand, you start reading the landscape, reading maps, you can realize that you could live here for 1,000 years and you're not going to climb all the trails that are out here. And people like Iris Spring that helped to create Washington Trails Association and have carved these trails. I think there's a level of appreciation you get when you go out and like do volunteer work. My friend Anson Fatlin works, I think he's on the board there with them, and plays a role heavily with the WTA. And there's a certain level of appreciation that you can start to grow for those that have carved those paths, and the trail architects that sit there at the bottom of the mountain and design a route up it. And the more you study it, the more you get into it, the more appreciation you can have for it. And then it for me, it like anchors me here pretty heavily. So this will always be a part of my life. Like always feel like home, even though I'll probably live in other places at some point. So.
I love the depth of the response that you just gave to that question.
Yeah, well, that's right. Those are the kind of questions I like. You know, place is very important in my life. So
I have multiple pictures of Mount Rainier in my home, and it's just fun to point to. Oh yeah, I bagged in for the night about right there.
Nice.
You know, feeling like my head was going to explode.
Did you climb it? Or?
I got above Disappointment Cleaver and bagged him. They literally staked me out on the side of a trail with like, you know, there's like me, the trail with people going by me, about another 3 feet, and then like a 6,000 foot drop off or something. I was like, oh, this is great.
Nice.
And the entire time while they were gone, I was just thinking, I just want to die. So it was a rough.
Did you get altitude sickness pretty bad?
Yeah, it was really bad. And you know, the worst part was that like the week before, I had come up the South Kaibab of the Grand Canyon, and I had beat the mules up the South Kaibab, and here I am just dying, having done 3,000-4,000 feet, and you know that was like 7,200, and it's just like, oh.
Yeah, you never know how altitude affects the body. I don't do well at altitude either, but I have ways of dealing with it. The main one for me is chewing ginger. So the last time I did Rainier, I got bad altitude sickness above 11,000. So for like 12 hours, I chewed up a big wad of ginger and had it in my lip like it was a dip, and just held it there, and it's insane. It works better than anything I've ever experienced. So that's a hack for you.
I appreciate that. I tell you what, I truly do appreciate that. I mean, I've been above 12 several times since, and never gotten sick. But and I don't know that I'll ever attempt Rainier again. But if I do, I definitely take something, because the next time I go, if I get up there, I'm definitely going for the summit.
Yeah.
So your answer to the same question. What do you love about the Puget Sound? What keeps you here?
Well, I actually really like hearing Zaylen's answer to that as well, because we've talked about it before, and we actually continue to always talk about it. So he always educates me on the landscape aspect, which I'm very curious about. So it does help understand the geography of this area very well, and I continue to learn. So to be honest, I really care about how the I-5 corridor is so connected, and at the same time, like the West Coast really is all connected by the I-5. For some reason, I grew up on it, coming from Portland and back up here north. I used to go to Vancouver, BC a lot growing up, and then obviously down towards California to see a lot of family. So now what I'm going to bring up is geography related, but also in regards to economy and marketplace for businesses. Just knowing that our I-5 corridor just keeps so much in the range of 5 to 10 miles of I-5 going east or west. You could find everything on the West Coast on it. So I really want to know and figure out what is the best way to take advantage of that in regards to businesses that I'm going to be around. So my goal is to grow my lifestyle all across the I-5 corridor in different aspects of life. So geography related, but also want to take advantage of how cool the geography is surrounding the I-5 corridor all the way down to LA from Vancouver, BC. So
yeah, and then becoming 99 up past the border and keep going all the way up to Alaska. It's just it's crazy. Yeah. Now an I-90 from our port
to Boston, right?
I
think it's
yeah.
Yeah,
I've taken it. I've driven across multiple times. Yeah, I used to live in Boston, so I would do that drive.
Oh, that's crazy. That is a crazy drive.
Yeah, it's far.
That is a crazy drive.
Like lightly talking about that drive.
Yeah, that is a crazy drive.
It is far. I always went
How
south
many
first.
days did that take you?
Well, one time I did it in 4 days, so I mobbed it pretty fast. I did a 32-hour sprint one of the weekends because I wanted to get back. This was when I was going to college over there, so I wanted to get back for see one of my friends, go out to a little party with him at Babson, and so I was like, well, that's on this night, and it's I don't remember what the days were. It was like say Wednesday in Denver, Colorado, and like, all right, I got to get there in 32 hours. So I just went like 18 hours straight, 2-hour nap, and then another sprint over there. Destroyed my car in the making of that, but it's been fun. I love driving through the country. There's a lot of interesting things along the way. But it always makes me more appreciative to be where we are, getting back to the mountains and the coast and everything. There's so much geographic diversity here as compared to some of the middle parts of the country. They're a lot more flat, which there's definitely a beauty to that. It's just not what I would be used to. It kind of drives me crazy after a little while of just flatness everywhere. So.
Yeah, once you get past Montana,
right?
Well, and actually,
Exactly.
once you get to Billings, really, truthfully, once you get to Billings, it gets pretty flat. You know, some of the hill country in the Dakotas, you get to some of the Badlands and all that. It's not terrible, but oh my goodness, it definitely does get pretty flat.
Yeah, the Black Hills are amazing. That was one of my favorite stops coming back. Seeing Crazy Horse and going out camping out there was pretty cool.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore is pretty nice.
Yep.
I just got to ask, what was the speed limit coming through Montana when you were driving it?
So I've actually never been to Montana. I've always gone south. So it's always been
Okay.
I had a friend living in Boise, so I'd drive to Boise, stay with him. And then I had a friend living in Denver area. He's living in Golden, going to Colorado School of Mines. So I then go south down to Colorado and then cut back
and then
up
back
to
up to
Boston.
90. Okay.
Yeah. So every time I've gone over there twice and back once, and every time was that same route. So I've missed the Dakotas and Montana every time so far.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately.
There was a time when I'm guessing I was about your age, but I don't know that for sure. But the speed limit was, as long as the road was dry, you could drive whatever speed you felt you could safely do.
And it said that.
That was the rule. But if you drove over 80 miles an hour, the law enforcement could pull you over and give you a $5 excessive fuel consumption ticket. And so, yes, we might have driven a little over 80 at the time.
Is that Montana? Is that what you're saying?
It was. It's not the rules now.
Interesting.
The federal standards have been applied,
Nice.
and
What
that
car
is
were
no
you
longer.
driving out there?
I had rented a brand new. I want to say it was like a Bonneville, but it was like brand new, and it had a turbo in it, and it had like 64 miles when we rented it, and we did 10 national parks in 10 days. We did did Yellowstone and Grand Teton, and then the glaciers and up into Canada, Banff and Jasper and all that.
Wow.
But yeah, so when we turned it back in, it had like 6,800 miles on it after 10 days. So
Wow.
yeah. One of the days I think we put like 1,200 miles on it. So
That's
it was,
a lot of driving right there.
it was it's amazing how fast, or excuse me, it's amazing how many miles you can put on it when you're not going 80 miles an hour.
Or when it's not your car either, right?
That too, I guess. It was really funny when we turned it back in. I said, "I'm sorry, I think it needs an oil change." And they looked at us and went, "Well, that is why you rented it, right?"
Yeah.
And I'm like,
That's true.
Yeah.
sort of, I guess. Anyway, I'm getting myself in all sorts of trouble on this podcast. We may edit that out later. But it's a fun conversation with you guys. I'm loving talking about the outdoors. What is your favorite hike?
Ooh, good question. The Brothers is pretty amazing. I love the Brothers. You can see Seattle from there. And I actually was sitting here at the Columbia Tower Club, and I remember looking out at the Brothers, and it's just such a prominent peak, the double peak, Albert and Edward, they call them. And I remember looking at that, drinking a cup of coffee down the hunt and gather area, and I was like, I wonder if you can see this building from up there. And so I planned a whole trip around that to then sit up there and like look directly back, and you can see it. It's tiny. It's like a little speck, but I like the perspective that gives, being on top of the Olympics, looking back over here, because it puts things into context. Because you get too into, Seattle is a big city and it's an important city, but we always have to remember we're cradled by a natural landscape. We're not like the center of it is not urban here in Cascadia and in Washington. This is a very much a natural world. So everywhere you look is blue and green and brown and white, and then there's a little speck that's gray, and you can just barely make it out, and you kind of get anchored in by the Space Needle and the Brothers. But I love any hike that you can see that. So I did a Caleton Peak out in the Snoqualmie Baker area 2 weeks ago. That same thing, you can see a glimpse of Seattle. You can also see Tacoma from there, which you can kind of make out from the Tacoma Dome, that you can just barely see a little white circle over there. So those are always fun. And then Rainier is, I grew up in the shadow of Rainier being in Sumner. Our town motto is "Live like the mountain is out" down there. So that's like written on our main cafe in town. So I've always had a deep connection to that mountain. That was my dream mountain growing up. So I've done that one 4 attempts, 3 summits now. And so that will always be like my training ground, my area. I've only done the DCR route so far, but I want to start experimenting, going different routes, doing different time challenges and things like that. So that mountain is probably the most spectacular in the Cascades for me, and then the Brothers so far in the Olympics. And then we did Deception a couple weeks ago too. Deception was probably the scariest one I've ever done. It was pretty intense for certain sections of it. And that's the highest on the eastern ridge of the Olympics. So Mount Constance is the biggest one that you can see when you look from Seattle. But most people don't know if you go across that valley, the Dungeness River Valley, there's another mountain right behind it and above it that when you get up there, you're looking back and down on Constance, which is a crazy, crazy sight. So that one is super cool too. But yeah, there's too many peaks out there. I could just, there's way too many. I have a lot.
You have a lifetime of climbing yet ahead of you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yep.
That is awesome. What's your next big adventure?
Oh, I cannot say I'm healthy enough at the moment to climb mountains as well as Zaylen does, but one day I will go with you. One of these
Let's
mountains.
do it.
We just got that. This is in writing or it's in video, so that's a commitment. We got that.
I actually want him to take me to some cool ones, and then I could learn some stuff in that aspect, and then either go try it on my own or try harder ones with him or something. That'd be cool. To be honest, is keeping my health in check. I think that's some things that we should always remember, whether it's a physical or mental thing. Just knowing the requirement of the projects and businesses and work that I have laid out ahead of me and the goals that I have, and I'm sure everyone has, but for them to remember that more about the physical and mental side of the toll that you put on your body. Not that those goals and requirements actually are not sustainable. It's just more about the fact that if you want to be as peak in performance, you should take care of your body in that case. So I don't think I've always been the best at that. So I think just reminding people, being a positive energy out to people, taking positive energy from people, and just leaving it at that is something I'm always inspired by when I see it from people like yourself, asking us to share a little bit more about us. I think it's great. I think we try to inspire it out in other people. We want to be a sunlight in people as well. So in this case, I think as much as I can get from positive energy from people, I'm going to grab and also try to reciprocate back. So my biggest adventure is myself in that case. So.
Well, that's a good adventure to undertake. Yeah, I heard a great phrase: "Don't spend your health to make wealth, only to spend your wealth to regain your health." And I have to say, I've not been a great example of that. I mean, like I've expended a lot of my health to gain wealth, and I'm now, expending wealth to regain my health. So don't follow my example. I would say that right now. So, all right, guys. One final question, and again, thank you so much for being here tonight. But final question: what wisdom, aside from take care of your health, which I think is a great message for everybody, what wisdom would you pass on to a fellow member here at the club?
I could share. I would say do not be afraid, and do not be afraid for good reason. I think everyone in Seattle that is a member of the club, or maybe even clubs in general out there, I know at least for my case here, the wisdom that I would say is just don't be afraid in meeting other people. So I think that's something that you should find more light in and more power in once you meet and continue to meet more other members. Brings community out of you, and it brings some sort of aspect of your life that you might not even know about when you start networking with other people. So that's something that I would say I would like to always share, is do not be afraid to meet other people.
That's awesome.
I would say be intentional about how you want to build community. I think people use the Seattle Freeze almost as an excuse and kind of as a way to write off the city, which Seattle is a world-class city, I think, in so many different ways, one of those being the people that are here. And I've met people from all over the world, all walks of life, had incredible conversations, and it's all about being intentional of what rooms you're walking into and making an effort to build a community for yourself. So that would be my biggest advice, is like sign up for things, go out of your way to meet someone. I mean, when I first moved to Seattle, I went on Eventbrite and Meetup and signed up for all kinds of stuff from business networking meetings to breathwork classes to cold plunges, and like you just start going to things that you have interest in. You'll be just shocked at the kind of people that you can meet so fast. So dropping the excuses or the negative mentality around Seattle, I think, is important. And then one thing it's funny, I remember talking to a grocer at PCC about this, I made a joke about how I love, it was the first day it had rained as we were coming back into the fall. I was like, I love the rain. It's nice that the rain is back. And he said, yeah, me too. My biggest pet peeve is people complaining about the weather that's here, because you can look at a map and we live inside of a very wet climate in between, right across from one of the rainiest, actually the rainiest place in the continental United States, and just south of the snowiest place in the world. So I think that the weather's not going to change, and finding a way to change the viewpoint on it, so you kind of spin something like, oh, it's gray and rainy again here, like life sucks. Like, it's not going to change. So you might as well, you either need to move or change the attitude around it and start seeing it as something that's beautiful, right? And like the way that I've done that I think is a key for me, and is just last bit of wisdom, is the Cascadia, the bioregion that we live in. We call it the land of falling waters. And so if you think that this area is beautiful and it's green and the air is better than anywhere you've ever been, whatever you want to say about it, right? All that is because of the rain. And so when you start realizing that, it's like, oh, this is actually a good thing when it's raining here. It's what makes here, right? If you love Seattle, you have to love the rain in some ways. So I think changing the attitude around that, and then changing the attitude around the Seattle Freeze, and starting to realize this city, for so many reasons, has brought people from all over the planet that are all experiencing in many ways that same thing of trying to build community. And people are open to conversation. You just got to like be the one sometimes to be intentional about starting that, or creating your own event community, or showing up and being in the room with the people that you want to get to know. So those are my two things of hopefully helping to make people's experience living in Seattle more exciting and fun for them.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you just said. I think sometimes we expect others to be the one to initiate. Well, the reason there's a freeze is because nobody initiates a conversation with me.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, well, wait a second. I could possibly initiate that conversation. I mean, like, maybe I could say hi. Yeah. So,
sure.
Yeah, it definitely flows both ways. Gentlemen, thank you so much for this evening. This has been a wonderful conversation. I hope that other members have an opportunity to get to know each of you a little bit better as a result of this, and as a result of this, realize that you are two members who are not part of the Seattle Freeze, and have an opportunity to say hello to you in the coming months, have a reason to walk up and talk about a hike that they've done, or something that, the young professionals, either because they want to join it and participate, or because they want to meet a young professional and mentor them, or something. But just excited about what you guys are doing. Really glad you're both here. Thank you for being here with me. Again, we're here at the Columbia Tower Club. We're at the top of the towers, in the top of the tower studios, where we elevate your voice. You can rent this space if you want to, but in the meantime, this is our happy half hour. We're going to be doing more of these. So if you want to be on this podcast, please feel free to reach out. Find a board member. We're looking to do 1 and 2 guests with a board member at a time, and would love to introduce you to the rest of the club that way. So please reach out. We look forward to having you on. Make it a wonderful day, everybody.